When I first lived here, I used to walk around really late at night, pretending that I was a vampire. We have a place in Berlin, so we were in Berlin quite a lot, so we usually stop here in Paris. And now we're thinking about maybe getting a place in Paris, but I do like it very much here. Well, I really like going and looking at the old stuff here. I mean, I really love seeing the Rafter Medusa. I think it's like an incredibly important painting. I've read a couple of books about it. So the whole history of the painting is quite important to me. Yeah, I mean, the history of art that's here is extraordinary. Right now, you know, making these big scale drawings is my main focus and the most rewarding. The band is because I felt confident enough in this work, and my wife wanted to do. She's done classical music and modern music, and she wanted to actually take on rock and roll. So we kind of started puttering around together, and John had this idea about us doing this thing together. So, I mean, when I became an artist, I was always a little embarrassed to say I am an artist. It always sounds weird when you say. I always think I should have like a little beret on, a striped shirt, a little palette, you know. I would much prefer to play in a rock band or make movies. I always thought that my role models were people outside of being artists. Do you know what I mean? But I've kind of accepted I'm an artist now. You know, art is something that it's an advertisement for something, but there is no sponsor. It's like an advertisement for believing in something. Even though these pieces are huge, they're small compared to what the places that they actually represent. So there's this kind of like, they're kind of intimate immensities or something like that in that sense. And to me, being as an American, you kind of grew up with the idea that big is good, and if it's big and shiny and new, it's even better. Yeah. But the scale is really important to me, that you're kind of enveloped by it. That I've always loved abstract expressionism. I was looking at some old Life magazines, which was I didn't really read much. I was dyslexic as a kid, so I didn't really read much. And Life magazine was basically all those picture magazines, National Geographic, things like that. But I realized in Life magazine, I picked up one in particular. I had like Marilyn Monroe on the cover, big color picture, big color expose on her, and there was a big color expose about like the fashion shows in Paris, something like that. And then the black and white photographs were like Vietnam. I know the black and white photographs were like of, the Great China Wall. And I realized that maybe somehow subconsciously I think of black and white as the truth. The constant subject matter of what I'm doing now has to do, in a very simple way explaining it, transport. And I started thinking about like driving in a car, flying in an airplane, but then I thought about music. Music takes you someplace without moving. Love, you know, sports. I started thinking of all these things that take you someplace without the act of actually physically moving. So religion fits into that category. So God Machines is a subcategory of this bigger thing that I call mysteries. My parents were Roman Catholic, Italian Roman Catholic. I mean, it was, so Italian religion, Italian and Roman Catholic is more like it's more like a style than it is a religion. My mother, the older she got, the more cliched she got about religion and God and stuff. And I really detested going to catechism and going to church. I'm not a real big believer in organized religions. I mean, I believe in God because I think it's important one believes in something that's bigger than one's ego. In school, they try to teach you how to make art, but they never teach you how to be an artist. And what was really great about doing this alternative space is I got to work with artists, and I got to do their exhibitions. I got to deal with organizing the shipping of the work. I got involved in trying to do a catalog. So it was probably the best education I can have. You have to start realizing that as an artist, when you start thinking about selling art, it's people who buy art don't so much buy it, but they take on the responsibility of taking care of it. And that, as an artist, makes you have a different approach to it. It's not so much you're making a product as so much as you're making something that has some significance. I think that in general, I've really admired a lot of women's art, and I think it's been really important in that sense. You know, it's the woman that works with me, that she's worked with me for a really long time, she works whenever she wants to work. It's got really interesting. She's developed her own life and stuff. I mean, my studio is primarily guys. She's the only woman that kind of comes in, and we treat her like the princess and stuff like that. And the only other woman I work with is my bookkeeper, Bernice, she's like the den mother of the studio. But it's like a little bit of a vulgar boys club in my studio. My studio music is on. You walk in the door and we have this huge sound system in the studio, and it's blasting from the moment. And it usually starts off in the morning with like Chopin, classical music. It moves into like rock and roll in the middle of the afternoon. Probably after lunch, it's like a little bit of rap, and then then the end of the day, it usually turns into jazz. So it's like this whole arc to the music of the studio. And I can look at work and tell you what music I've listened to. I think the older I get, the more optimistic I get. And when I was younger, I was really incredibly angry and pissed off. But you know, the older you get, the more you're concerned about what you leave behind for the future. And I don't mean my work. I mean what kind of world you leave behind. I'm 58, so I see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's a little different. It's a little different now. I remember, it seemed like only yesterday, the light at that tunnel, I didn't even know where the fucking tunnel was. You know, it's like, where's the light at the tunnel? You start making different agendas and things like that. So what's next is not so much what's next, but how do I keep doing what I'm doing and making it better or something like that.